Welcome back to another episode of Archie Sonic Character Files, as we explore the histories on the inhabitants on planet Mobius. In this episode, we take a look at the enthusiastic archaeologist known as Relic the Pika, and her robot assistant. Well, I've covered characters from the old continuity of Archie Sonic, and one version of a character who originated from the games, so I figured it was time to cover someone who only exists in the new continuity. I was a bit hesitant about this, since a majority of the new characters barely got any screen time, and don't have much history with how short-lived the new timeline was. So I decided to pick out a character that I personally think needs a lot more love. Relic was actually first mentioned in Sonic Universe issue 62, as Knuckles watches Eclipse the Darkling's spaceship fall from the sky, unless you got the other version where we see the reintroduction of Snively in the new timeline. Yeah, this was part of this whole after the credits gimmick that Archie Comics did with their Sonic and Mega Man comics back in 2014. Basically, the standard cover would have one ending, while the variation cover would have a different ending. Either way, they were just little sneak peeks of upcoming stories and characters. She would make her proper appearance in the next issue during the Great Chaos Caper story arc. This actually takes place before the ending of the previous issue. Around this time, the planet has been shattered, Chaos leaves the Master Emerald to help Sonic and friends elsewhere, and Tikal has contacted Knuckles to find someone that can help restore the planet. Before he goes on his mission, he first pays a visit to Launch Base Zone, where we are introduced to Relic the Pika, trying to contact anyone on the planet, but having no luck due to her lack of technical skills. She isn't alone during all of this, as she is always accompanied by her faithful robot assistant, Fixit, to help her out. Knuckles asks her to look after Angel Island while he's away, which she happily agrees to, and promises that nothing bad will happen to the Master Emerald. While he's away, Relic continues to research on the ancient ruins and technologies that are on Angel Island. After Fixit gets quite the shock in an attempt to understand the technology, it detects a strange reading over at Mushroom Hill Zone. So the two of them head over there and they find a strange-looking thorn growing from the ground. They gather some samples and head over to what's left of the Flying Battery Fortress, in the hopes that Robotnik's old technology can analyze and determine what they are. Turns out these substances point towards something extraterrestrial, as she runs off to warn Knuckles about a possible alien invasion on the island. Which leads us into the next Sonic Universe story arc known as Total Eclipse. Team Dark, alongside Dr. Julian Snively, have arrived on Angel Island to find and destroy Eclipse the Darkling after he escaped. Knuckles, Rouge, and Omega explore the island to find him, all while Relic, Fixit, Shadow, and Snively look after the Master Emerald. Also, Relic is an alien! But this only happened when Eclipse was nearby and screwing around with Shadow's mind to make him hallucinate with his powers. While Shadow and Eclipse do get out for a while, Fixit contacts Knuckles' team that Eclipse is at the Master Emerald Shrine. But they arrive rather late, as Shadow has already booted Eclipse halfway across the island. Dr. Snively states that they must move the Master Emerald away from Angel Island, which Shadow agrees to this to make sure it's secured at a gun facility, but Knuckles refuses. After some arguing, Knuckles and Shadow fight it out, all while Relic and Fixit are left behind to defend the Master Emerald from the returning Eclipse. Which doesn't go so well, as he makes short work of them, snatches the Emerald, and heads off to find Team Dark's shuttle to escape. Eventually, Shadow and Knuckles catch up to him, Knuckles shadows the Master Emerald once again, and Eclipse escapes while another gun shuttle comes in to pick up Team Dark. Knuckles tells her that the shuttle might have some room if she wants to return to the surface. Although they consider the idea, Relic and Fixit choose to stay on the island and look after it while Knuckles is away finding the Master Emerald shards. Fortunately, since the planet is still shattered, the island still remains floating even without the Master Emerald's power. They made their last appearance in Sonic Universe issue 90, but only showing up near the ending. She's relieved that Knuckles and Amy managed to restore the Master Emerald and bring it back to the island before it fell into the ocean when the planet was becoming whole again. Later that night, she checks in on how Knuckles is doing before calling it a night, knowing now that the island is back to normal. And that concludes the history of Relic and Fixit, the only other inhabitants on Angel Island outside of Knuckles. And I really like Relic. She's a very adorable character, always rambling on about her research and histories, determined to discover ancient tech despite her lack of technical skills, not much of a fighter even when she tries to defend herself, and is always there if Knuckles needs some help or just needs someone to talk to. I just love how she goes into extreme fangirl mode when she first meets Tikal in her spirit form, and wanting to know everything about her ancient history. It's nice to see that they carried on the idea from the old continuity about how Knuckles relies on a trusted friend to look after the island while he's away, something that the games could have really used. Although it is obvious that Relic was created as a replacement for Knuckles' love interest Julie Sue from the old continuity, but here it's just more of a friends thing. They don't really have much of a romantic relationship. Though, I wouldn't mind if they did start to form a relationship. I mean, you know what they say about how opposites attract. But then again, I'm sure Sega would have been against the idea anyway. It's a real shame we don't know much about Relic's personal life or what inspired her to become an archaeologist. The only details we get is that she traveled to Angel Island when it fell into the ocean during the events of Sonic Adventure, and decided to stay there to explore the ancient ruins. If the comics weren't cancelled and they continued on with that Sonic comic origins stories, I'm sure she would have been given a more fleshed out backstory. Maybe coming from Britain or something, because it looks like she has a bit of a British accent judging from how she's written. I don't really have much to say about Fixit. I'm not much of a fan of the guy, and I think it's mostly just because of the design. Like, look at it, it's just a mini version of Emerald from Sonic Battle. What's up with that? I can only assume that Ian Flynn was still sour that Sega still wouldn't let him use Emerald in the comics, so he just went and made up this character as a substitute. Yeah, as if shoving in Shard's personality into Jim Merle wasn't bad enough already. As for the name, I feel like they only called him Fixit just so they could do their Wreck-It Ralph parody in one of their off-panel segments. But either way, his speciality is fixing things, and is always willing to help Relic and her friends in whatever way it can. And just like the Blue Pika, we don't really know much about its backstory. All we get is a brief mentioning that Relic found Fixit under some rubble, though it's not clear if she discovered the tiny robot on Angel Island or somewhere else. And no, it's never stated that Fixit is a Gizoid. The similarities is probably just pure coincidence. So yeah, not too big into Relic's assistant, but I will say I enjoy seeing Fixit and Omega together. Seeing this big weaponized powerful robot interacting with this small harmless helper bot is just hilarious. Plus I like to imagine Fixit would sound like C-3PO for some reason. Well, that takes care of this character file, so until then, I gotta juice!